Welcome to the United States of Small Business, a podcast where the essence of American entrepreneurship is celebrated in every episode. With host John Quick at the helm, join us as we embark on a journey through the heart of the nation, uncovering the inspiring stories of small business owners from coast to coast. Experience the vibrant energy of bustling cities and the serene beauty of small towns, all while discovering how individuals are turning their entrepreneurial dreams into reality, even against the greatest odds. Each episode brings you face to face with the dreamers, creators, and doers who form the economic backbone of our country, all sharing their spirit of innovation and resilience. Whether you are in the early stages of sowing the seeds for your own business, scaling new heights in your current venture, or simply captivated by tales of grit and triumph, you are in the right place. Tune in on platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and beyond. For deeper insights and to connect with the heart and soul of America's main streets, visit UnitedStatesOfSmallBusiness.com. Subscribe to United States of Small Business with host John Quick now and be inspired by the powerful stories of entrepreneurship, community, and the unwavering pursuit of the American dream. Begin your journey of inspiration with us today.
Hi, I'm your host, John Quick. Join us on the United States of Small Business podcast as we sit down with Amber Larkins, the visionary behind the Transformation Through Trauma project. Amber shares her inspiring journey from entrepreneur to passionate photographer, delving into her roots in fitness and her deep-seated love for photography. Along the way, she discusses her personal transformation, her addiction to capturing raw authenticity, and her mission to empowering others through storytelling. Discover how Amber's project is reshaping narratives around trauma, building emotional connections, and raising awareness through its effects. Plus, hear about how her mentors influenced her along her journey and where you can find more out about her impactful work she is doing. Tune in for another fun-filled episode of empowerment and inspiration. Welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast. Amber, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be here.
Well, this will be fun today to hear about your story. But first, take me back to kind of what first got you the entrepreneur bug. Tell me that story. I'm sure there's a story there.
Yeah, I kind of think I've always had a little piece of that in me. The unorthodox kind of wanting to push the limits and do the hard stuff. But I would say it really kind of started when I got married. My husband had a business and I did help him kind of run his business. I come out of marketing. So that was my original, like what I went to school for and kind of what I was doing. And I helped him in that business for a while. But then when I had my son, I saw a photographer came and took my son's photos when he was a newborn. And I was like, I'm going to miss out on so many things by having a photographer come here. I need to just learn how to do this myself. So I started learning photography, bought a camera, had no clue what I was even doing, and started taking his pictures and started kind of getting the itch for something a little more. I'm like, I come out of, so I was into marketing, but as a hobby, I did fitness and did fitness competitions. So I was like, it'd be really cool if I could kind of get back into the fitness arena, but this time not competing, but actually taking photos. So I just put the word out there and started getting clients and started getting word of mouth. And my business was kind of born. It was a photography business, shooting fitness photography before. I think it was almost before the fitness industry just blew up. Now the fitness industry is like huge, right? Everybody does it. But it's been over a decade ago. So it was kind of right in that time when that was really blowing up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's where it all started.
So how did you get into fitness in the first place? That's, now that's kind of like a trendy thing to be in. It sounds like you were in it before it was, cool and trendy and everybody on Instagram was doing that. How did you dip your toes into the fitness world?
Yeah, I was into fitness before social media was a thing. So this was again something, it was that goes back to that personality trait in me that likes to do hard things, just to see if I can. And I remember as a kid, I would go to the grocery store with my mom and look at the fitness magazines. And I would tell my mom, like, one day I'm going to be like this. And she thought I was crazy because I was like a little skinny kid. And she's like, ah, you're whatever, you know. But it stuck with me. And I got into lifting weights when I was in college. Well, in high school, I took a weightlifting class. Couldn't even bench press the bar. Like I couldn't even lift anything. I didn't know anything about form. I was like the most unfit person in the entire class. I was in there with a bunch of athletes. And but in college, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to do this. And I would go in and I would ask people in the gym, like, what does this machine do? What does that machine do? And I was very intrigued by the physique, the human physique. And so I got into, I started college, I'm telling my age here, but I started college in 98 and I was probably at the top of my peak competing in by 2001, 2003-ish.
And were you going around the US competing in fitness competitions?
I I did. So I started in Tennessee, which is where I'm from, and then I moved to California, and that was where I really kind of found my place in fitness. Um, because I was around a lot of other athletes, bodybuilders and fitness, and you know, this was before bikini was like a thing. Now bikini is a huge thing. But I was doing figure competitions, so not quite bodybuilding, but still pretty muscular.
Nice.
And I was traveling all over doing different shows, working with one of the top trainers in the industry, still is, and was doing national competitions. And I just got really burned out. It was a great industry. I loved it, but it is hard work.
Yeah. So you started your photography business up, and somewhere along the lines, you saw a glimpse of either yourself or somebody else being authentic and kind of telling their story, um, which maybe opened a door up into a new venture that you're now doing. Tell me the bridge or the transition
Yeah.
there from being a photographer to helping other people tell their authentic stories.
Yeah, so how this all began as I was doing fitness, it was a hobby. I loved doing it. I was just doing it as a side thing and fitness photography. And I would work with clients. I think I've always been someone that people could open up to. So I just started getting these stories of people of overcoming. People would tell me like how they had overcome alcoholism or grief or drug abuse or debilitating diseases, like all these different things that people had overcome using fitness. And I'm just like, what really sparked in me was like, I need a bigger platform to share these stories because it's very inspiring to me, but I need to inspire other people through these stories. So I just took years of really one foot in front of the other, just praying about how I could make a difference. And I started shifting my photography business into more of like, hey, how can I empower people? I didn't want to use fitness photography as sometimes I think that industry can get overly sexualized, and I didn't want to do that. I really
Mm.
wanted to use it to inspire people and inspire these powerful transformational stories in people. So that's kind of the bridge of how that happened. And I've dabbled in doing everything from these transformation through trauma photo shoots, which kind of artistically share stories, to starting my own podcast, which is through the trauma, which deals with people just speaking their stories, sharing their stories, and finding inspiration and help through those stories.
That's awesome. So walk me through, what does that practically look like? Somebody contacts you. Do you meet with them beforehand to kind of work through what their story is, or do you do that during the photo shoot? How does that practically look? What does that look like?
Well, it depends on what service they want from me because I dabble in a lot of things. I love the principle. I love the principle of sharing stories. I love the principle of giving people a platform to share and to be themselves. And I'm really learning now how to be a leader in that space, in that how I can inspire other people to now share their stories, or how I can inspire other people to make impact or raise awareness or empower others through their voice and through their story. So it really depends. I mean, I still shoot photography. I am gravitating more into like back into marketing. So it's kind of come full circle where I can I love working with independent people, individuals, sharing their story because I think there's power there. Um, but I started to realize if I can impact influencers, so people that can impact more people. So it's kind of a, what do they call it? Like a halo effect,
Hmm.
where I inspire one and then they go out and inspire 10, and then they go out, those 10 go out and inspire, so it expands exponentially. So that's really where my vision and focus is right now, is being able to inspire those that have these platforms and have these voices to where now they can go out and inspire others. Not to discount independent individual people, but I just have learned that my heart and my vision in the world, I think my destiny in the world is to truly make change.
Hmm.
And I need to do that quickly because I'm not getting any younger.
You mentioned um, you mentioned prayer. Does faith play a role in what you do, and if so, how and why?
Yeah, very much. Very much. I I I had a rather, I mean, I had a good upbringing. I don't want to paint that in any kind of way. I had a very good upbringing actually, but I detoured myself and got into some things when I was, my early 20s, right around the time that is one of the reasons I kind of got burned out in the fitness industry, because fitness was powerful, but I was dabbling in other things that wasn't so powerful. And I just got to the place where during that time, that's where I found God. And having no purpose, having no vision, to then where I feel like God rescued me out of a very um a lifestyle that was non-desirable, and put me in a place where now I have vision, now I have purpose. It's transformed my life in ways I can't even begin to tell you.
That's pretty cool. So, who's somebody that you've kind of looked up to along the way that's been a hero in your life, and why?
Man, I would say from the beginning, I have a grandmother that really instilled so many values in me, but she's since passed, and I think mentorship is amazing. I have had a lot of mentors down the path of my entrepreneurial journey that has inspired me and impacted me in so many ways, and has given me more than what I really deserve, which is another reason why I just believe in the human spirit being able to give back.
That's awesome. So, somewhere along the way, you also started a podcast. Tell folks about that, what was that like starting a podcast? It's definitely something that is not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of work. Talk to me about what that process was like for you.
Yeah, I had a vision actually. I was really aiming towards just doing these transformation through trauma photo shoots. That's where my heart was, and that's what I thought that my mission was. And this has been about 2 years ago, maybe now. And I had gone to a retreat. I was photographing a retreat in the British Virgin Islands on Ariel BVI, which is a beautiful island. If you get a chance, you should look it up. But I got to go and photograph a retreat there. And the girl who owns that, she said that that's the place, that island is where people come, entrepreneurs come to get downloads from God. And I was just there as a photographer, but I truly felt like God spoke to me there. And he said that I needed to start a podcast. And I thought, I'm starting a podcast. We'll call it Through the Trauma, because it goes with my transformation through trauma photo shoots. And it'll help me get clients for my photo shoots. That's what I thought. So I started the podcast, and it has taken on a whole nother animal. Like it's
Nice.
way different than what I had thought. Um, because it's been way more impactful than just to use it for business. It has been huge and instrumental in, I believe, really impacting lives. So that's one of the reasons I feel like I can't stop. It is hard emotionally. It's hard for someone like me who's an empath. I'm very empathetic, and so sometimes I wear these feelings on my heart, or these stories on my heart, but I can't stop because I feel like it is impacting lives, and it's something I just, no matter how hard it gets, it's like if it's making a difference in people's lives, then it serves purpose. And that ultimately I think that makes the human spirit happy. For anybody who lacks purpose, like finding that purpose can bring so much clarity and m- make everything, and give you joy even when things are difficult.
Yep. Amen to that. So, what's some advice you'd give to folks? There's going to be kind of two different kinds of folks that are going to be listening to this, people that are small business owners that tune in just to get kind of everyday advice from folks that have their own small business like yourself, or folks that are just looking to get inspired, and want to start their own venture. What's some advice you would give to those kinds of folks? I think oftentimes people don't know where to start, how to start, what to do. Just getting that first foot in front of you is sometimes the toughest. What's some advice you'd give?
Mhm. I would say the first piece of advice I would give anyone is getting really clear on what what you're good at, what you're called to do, and what you're talented at. I mean, all of those things kind of fit into purpose, into finding your purpose. And sometimes it takes time. So just getting in there and doing action promotes clarity. So just getting in there and kind of doing if you don't know your purpose, try to clarify it as much as possible and then just start. I waited so many years doing things that I wasn't clear on, but I also thought they had to be perfectly constructed before I did them. And I'm still learning this. This is a lifelong learning lesson. But I feel like as you go along, you begin to see that by doing, action promotes clarity. So just by doing it, you're going to gain more clarity. And then you just refine that purpose and refine that vision and keep doing that over and over again.
That's awesome. So, people are going to want to find your website and all your social media and all that kind of stuff. Where can they find you? We'll put the links in the podcast description itself. But for folks that are maybe driving their car or something, where can they find all your stuff at?
Yeah. So I contemplated long and hard about changing the name of my business because it was Photography. Photography Files is the name of my photography business when I was working in fitness. But I outgrew that. So now we have shifted to Empowerography. I am on Instagram under Empowerography Files. My personal page is also on Instagram, _Amber_Larkins. And our website we are in the middle of building a new and improved, beautiful website. I can't wait for it to come out, but it's not quite
Nice.
up yet. But it will be empowerography.com.
Awesome. Well, 20 minutes has gone by in a flash here. Amber, any last minute thoughts here before we head off? The floor is yours.
Man, I just appreciate you so much having me on here. I believe that platforms like this can truly impact. This is the way of the future. Podcasting is, and I believe that platforms like this can impact so many people in business and in personal, depending on the topic that we're discussing. So I just encourage people to lean into podcasting and listen to more episodes just like this because you can be so inspired and never know where you're going to find that next nugget that's going to push you to the next level.
Awesome. Well, folks listening in, if you only caught the last tail end of this, I want to encourage you to go back, listen to the whole thing. Amber helps people tell their stories, and she also has a photography business and her own podcast. We're going to put all the links in the podcast description. Everybody go check that out. She's doing some pretty awesome stuff. I want to thank everybody that listens to United States Small Business Podcast. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week. Amber, I hope you have I hope the rest of your week is phenomenal. And until next time, I'm John Quick from the United States of Small Business Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.